All right, here we go. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to freaking Make the Jump here from the BrickCityBlockade.com podcast network. You're welcoming in episode 10 of the show Make the Jump with your host here, your bad boy Robin Vogt. And of course, sitting on the West Coast on the other side of the country is my good friend, the Mafex Mando, Mr. Jerad Chilson. Dude, what is up tonight?
How's it go, folks? It's nice, beautiful, and sunny over here in California. Oh man, it's amazing, and it's so hot that I was sweating today. But anyways, we have some amazing stuff to talk about. So what have you been getting into? We've had a couple of good announcements from Funko about Cat and Rex being dropped on New York Comic Con. That's exciting. I'm excited about that. How about you? What other things are you want to mention before we jump into the main subject?
Yeah, no, listen, when I saw it, and I'm so glad you bring up the New York Comic Con stuff because I so badly wanted to get press passes this year. I was like on top of it. I was like, dude, I got to submit. For all the Comic Cons up my way here, I was submitting them left and right. And I'm like, here we go, Brick City, let's get into some of these. New York Comic Con is such a freaking tough one to get into. Oh. And, I love it when they announced that the Captain Rex was going to be New York Comic Con exclusive, but it's going to be a shared Funko with Hot Topic.
Yes.
And I see that, and I got a Hot Topic literally 5 minutes away from me at the mall up the road. And I'm like, I'm going to scoop that bad boy up.
Exactly. And the good thing is that Hot Topic usually has a large amount of exclusives. So for all of you Funko hunters, they're usually in plentiful supply. And then after they open that day, they usually have them either the night before or the same day online. You could pay for in-store pickup and not pay for shipping. So don't worry about this one. This one's going to be fairly easy to get.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I know I've talked with Andrew Garish on Words of the Wills about is, a lot of people are always like, oh, when it comes to the shared exclusives specifically, I mean, I'm even thinking back to Star Wars Celebration last year. Everybody's like, oh, I got to get this one. I got to get this one. I got to get this one. Half of them, like the Hot Topic exclusive, the shared exclusives with Celebration are still on the shelf at Hot Topic. Oh, yeah. And it's people like get up in this whole thing, Jerad, about like, I got to grab it now. I got to grab it now. But then you go on Funko Pop Price Guide and then you look at the residual value of some of them too. And it's like, oh, hey, I just invested in a Supreme Leader Snoke and he's worth 97 cents now. Like, yeah. It's like there's an interesting balance. And I love to look at Funko Pop Price Guide, when it comes to shared exclusives with conventions, because it seems like the convention exclusives always bring in one of the better values too when it comes to Funko Pops, I feel.
Definitely. Yeah. And especially some retailers do have a little bit more exclusivity in the Funko Pop collecting world. It's a little bit difficult to really dive into because we could talk all day about that. But some retailers have limited quantity. Like just for example, over San Diego Comic Con, they had the heavy metal girl, Cora.
Yes.
I really wanted that one, but then I found out that it was Toy Tokyo that was going to be carrying it. And almost every single exclusive that Toy Tokyo gets, the Funko Pop Price Guide just skyrockets. And so I was just thinking, all right, maybe I'll just not worry about
it. Right. Because you'll find a way to get it. Like, yeah. That's the whole point. And there's this weird balance sometimes of people like I said before, like, I got to get it now. But then you start seeing that there's an availability of them out there and you just jump on it whenever you get the chance, or obviously when the price is best. Some people turn them around and they sell at such high value and then they don't sell, and then you buy it at high value and then it's sitting on eBay for $20, $30 less.
And that's exactly right. I was listening to our good friend William Junowski over at the Door Cleaner the other week. He was talking about picking up the San Diego Comic Con exclusive Luke Skywalker and Land Speeder for $30 cheaper than retail. And I quickly went to eBay and I checked it out. I'm like, oh my God, he's right. If I really wanted to get another one, now is the best time to go because people are seeing that it's not moving and the demand is not there anymore. So if you're in it, you really want it, and you could get over that residual I need it now type of thing, you could definitely find a really good deal on it.
Yeah, and it's out there. You just got to keep your eyes peeled. You have to check like social media too. I know I follow Kylo Collector on Instagram, and he's always got pictures of this was found at this Target or this was found at this Walmart. This was found online at this price. There's so many great resources out there, including other podcasts out there. I mean, Six Scale Scavengers, the stuff that Brian is doing with Chris and Jim when it
Yeah,
comes to hot toys. I mean, they're really picking it down to the point of this is where the best deals are. These are places you can go, and this is what you should buy, and this is what you shouldn't buy. That's the other thing, Jerad, is the
definitely.
whole concept of this is what you should invest your time into for residual value going forward. And this is something that you should probably not touch right now, or maybe not even think about right now.
Right. And I feel they do a really, really good job with that. And shout out to Chris and Brian. I love that show. Keep up the good work, guys.
Yeah, the Brick City Blockade loves everything that Six Scale Scavengers is doing. But let's get into the meat of this Make the Jump episode 10. Now, as I always like to say, Jerad, some of the best conversations happen before the freaking podcast even goes live.
Yep.
And listen, I feel like when you hear Jerad laughing when you say a theory, it's like, okay, I think he's getting where I'm going with this thing. And it's exactly what you did when I
Yes.
proposed this idea that, yeah, Jon Favreau played Rio in Solo, a Star Wars story, but was he behind the scenes watching the development of Kira as a character, and then Maul gets inserted into the picture? Does this have connections to Jon Favreau's spin-off series that he's going to be working on, his live action series for Lucasfilm? Jerad, what you thinking?
All right. So I'm glad that we're talking about this, and especially how you brought it up to me, because my initial thought, and a lot of Mandalorian fans were thinking that he was going to go back to his Star Wars roots when he was voicing Pre Vizsla, and he was going to revisit something Mandalorian Jedi War type
Yeah.
situation, which would be awesome. I'm not saying it wouldn't.
Oh, hell yeah.
I would watch that 20 times. Okay. But the idea of him being behind the scenes and kind of, and this is all just speculation,
Absolutely.
just I want to prerequisite that this is all just speculation, that Jon Favreau could have had a hand in the development of Kira's character, maybe even talked about how Maul could have been introduced in Solo if it wasn't an original idea from the writers, or he could have just been influencing decisions from behind the scenes without taking credit, because he is that kind of guy. He influences people to make really good decisions. He makes I mean, look at what he did with Iron Man. It was just
Yes.
out of the blue. He allowed Robert Downey Jr. to do his thing, and so Jon Favreau had a concept, basically, and he allowed the characters to kind of run with it. So I think, as he's coming up with ideas for what he's working on, I'm sure he's already got the ideas that he's working on plastered right now, because we've already seen that, like, they're already in developments, they're already casting.
Right.
So Jon Favreau, I think he is having his ideas are going to be, on point, and he's going to point the he's going to direct and point the actors into a way that where it will flow perfectly, and to give them the tools like a Game of Thrones-esque, budget, where it's going to be 10 to 12, episodes, hour long, special effects. I think nothing but gold is going to come from that. And so you were saying that, Emilia Clarke is, now remember, speculation, that Emilia Clarke
Yeah.
has turned down a few roles, future roles, for a project that she's already in, kind of gets the wheels turning, and I want to know more about what you think about this. Now, go ahead.
No, it's true. That's exactly right. It does get the wheels turning on these theories, and was part of the entire idea behind this was, you know, when you see somebody come out and say, I'm willing to drop almost 3 projects worth of money because I'm working on something right now, means that this talk probably even happened before Solo came out. Much like everything else in the Star Wars universe, the script for Last Jedi was done essentially right during the opening of The Force Awakens, right on the red carpet. And that's what's so fascinating about what Lucasfilm does is we can sit back and say, oh, it's in turmoil. Oh, they don't have a plan. Oh, they have this. They're just not saying it. They're just not saying what it is. And that's part of this whole thing and why this theory stands amongst a lot of other ones out there for. I mean, like you said, it's speculation based on what we've heard. But again, what were some of the social media posts that we saw? Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni at Skywalker Ranch.
Oh, yeah.
And they spent a lot of time with each other. And I can guarantee you, Jon Favreau was asking questions to Dave Filoni similar to, okay, buddy, how do I handle Maul? How do I handle this character? How do I play him out in a way that can capture? Because Filoni was a main part of his story on Dathomir. Filoni was a main part of his story on Mandalore. And he's somebody who truly understands that character. And Dave Filoni is really good friends with Ray Park. So I would not be surprised, and this is my bold hot take prediction on Favreau's series, is obviously I'm going nuts and crazy thinking that it's going to be a Maul and Kira series. But here's my hot take on it. Dave Filoni is executive producer on it.
Uh-huh.
Because I think it would make sense. I think he said Star Wars Resistance, listen, I love it. I got it up and running for the rest of the Lucasfilm crew, but I'm going to step away from it. It's something that can pre-develop itself now and can move forward. And now I can move on to something else. I totally believe Kathleen Kennedy has something with him somewhere. And working with Favreau would be, I know Filoni's a huge fan of Iron Man, so that would be perfect.
Right. And so we going off of more social media that we've been seeing, if you follow I Am Ray Park on Instagram and you watch his stories, he is training like a madman right now.
He is.
He is getting back into his martial arts. Even in the Star Wars show 2 weeks ago, last week.
Yeah, last week.
Last week, he was saying, he's trying to get back into shape, but of course that gets the wheels turning again, because why? If all you had to do was just stand there and lip sync Sam Witwer's words, then why do you need to get back in shape? But I digress. That gets the wheels turning and starts making us think, okay, so what can they do with Kira, who has a free future ahead?
Uh-huh.
And then we have Ray Park that is getting ready for something incredible. It's just mind-boggling, and the dots are there. They just need to be, strung together by one of 3 people, Kathleen, Dave, or John, is one of those 3 has got to spill the beans, and I think it would just be an amazing, amazing series, and I am all for that.
Yeah. And, the other thing too is, Jared, and what kind of has a connection to this, and I thought about the other night when I was watching the Emmys, was how much attention Game of Thrones, even though the series had essentially come to like a quiet hold, yet it won so many awards at the Emmys, and I'm sitting there watching it. Benioff and Weiss are right there, and I'm like, oh crap, I forgot they're doing some Star Wars too.
Yeah.
And you have Emilia Clarke, who's been in Star Wars now. You've had, Thandie Newton. You've had so many different actors and actresses that Benioff and Weiss have worked on, not just in Game of Thrones, but in other projects. And I'm starting to wonder if, okay, Emilia Clarke has found her way into Solo, a Star Wars story, and maybe into something else. How much of Benioff and Weiss's influence and some of the actors from Game of Thrones are going to play into Star Wars at some point, whether it's in their series or other places? I mean, Peter Dinklage in Star Wars. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that would be such a great little twist in.
I mean, there's so many people that I feel like would qualify for really good Star Wars characters. I mean, just off of my head, wow. The Wolf, he would be an amazing
Yes.
Star Wars character. God, there's so many of them in Game of Thrones. I can't even narrow it down. I'm thinking of God. I
I think Kit Harington would be fantastic and stuff.
That's who I was thinking of. I was gonna say Jon Snow, but man, I was gonna try and find his name. But yeah, Kit Harington is, I feel like, is pure Star Wars material. Like he could, like, I don't know, because he has the physique, he has the look, the grittiness, and
Uh-huh.
he's he's new enough to where it would fit his resume. So I think that would be a good move. Like, but this is all speculation and our wish list, because there like there's so many more that are on that list that I would absolutely love on Star Wars.
Yeah, and I mean, even in just The Force Awakens alone, Max von Sydow made his appearance as Lor San Tekka.
Right.
So there seems to be a history here of Benioff and Weiss having influence and maybe going to Disney and going to Lucasfilm and saying, hey, you know what? I recently worked on Game of Thrones with this person, this person, this person. I totally think they would fit in the Star Wars universe. And I don't know. I think there's going to be so much more of that influence. I wouldn't be surprised if in other shows that we don't see that happen. Actors and actresses from Stranger Things and from Walking Dead. Star Wars is going to start pulling, and James Brown actually brought this up, Jared. I'm going to be curious to hear your thoughts on this. And I think it's a really good. I think it's a really good.
Always has really good ideas too. So
Yeah, it's a really fascinating one, and it's that whole idea of, okay, Marvel is pulling in the actors and actresses that are recognizable faces, and I'm going to say, get asses in the seats. And he said to the point of, all right, Star Wars is great for bringing the no names into the galaxy far, far away and giving them a future career. But much like Daisy Ridley and others, it's hard for them to leave that role and to go into other films without being recognized as, yeah, you know what, that's Rey. Um,
and that's true. That's always been kind of the curse of Star Wars. I mean, uh, uh, Hayden Christensen is stuck in that role. That poor guy. I mean, he's done many great movies that I actually have enjoyed.
yeah.
And, Vanishing on 7th Street, I loved it.
Oh, that's a great movie.
And and of course Mark Hamill. But he struggled for a while, but he came out on top being a voice actor.
Yeah.
The only two actors that I could really think of that have really come out on their own and were the ones who just kept on doing movies, and that was Harrison Ford and then Ewan McGregor. Those two are the ones that you just don't remember them as Han Solo. You remember him as Jack Ryan. You remember him as Indiana Jones, definitely. You remember him from from Air Force One. He was blessed with so many good scripts as well to have like really good one-liners like "Get off my plane."
Yeah.
Everybody knows that movie because of that line. So, but then Ewan McGregor is he just, I feel like he's so nonchalant about his career. Like he's not too focused on it. He did a motorcycling series with his best buddy. There was two of them. There was one that was called The Long Way Down, and then the Long Way Around, where he travels the entire world on his motorcycle.
Yeah.
And that was a really good series, and nobody even knew about it. So, but because that's just he's so Obi-Wan-esque. He's just very not too interested. But but these poor actors like the kid that played Anakin Skywalker, and
Oh, yes, I know who you're talking about. Yep.
he kind of just got stuck in it, and he just couldn't get away from it. And we see that we see the seeds of that happening to Kelly, to Daisy,
Yes.
to John, all these new actors that keep on getting badgered by social media. I just want them to be able to shut that off and become stronger people, because I absolutely love them.
Yeah, I mean, even Oscar Isaac to a certain point. It was hard for me when watching X-Men Apocalypse, and then suddenly you see Apocalypse Rise. I'm like, oh, that's evil Poe Dameron.
Uh-huh.
It was really, really hard to, and even he is now finding himself in indie films and in some pretty big budget films that are probably going to be award winners next time around.
Oh yeah.
It's so hard for a lot of movie fans. They still associate him with Poe Dameron, and I think that they're really trying to get away from that. But two exceptions for me, I feel, are Natalie Portman and Liam Neeson.
Oh yeah.
Two from the prequels that were really associated, and I'll say this, were associated with what is understood as really bad Star Wars films.
Right.
And were very well-known actors and were able to find a way out. And I feel, based on what James Brown has kind of hypothesized and share his point on, is that like Marvel, where they bring in the big names, it wouldn't hurt Star Wars. And I think it wouldn't hurt Star Wars to bring in some names sometimes. I think Matt Smith coming into Episode 9 is fantastic. Benicio del Toro coming into The Last Jedi was a great move. I think that they're starting to pull that formula into Star Wars now, and it's helping out the films. But I want to see some more of that. I really do. I want to see Peter Capaldi from Doctor Who come into this. You see Ewan McGregor come back into the Star Wars universe. As much as those rumors circulate, see that happen as well. What do you think, Jared? Do you think the big names, give them some opportunities in Star Wars would be kind of cool?
I think James is right. Big names get butts in seats. That's a given. I think using the big names as characters that are influencers, like Natalie Portman, like Liam Neeson, like even Sir Christopher Lee,
Yeah.
huge name, but was it a huge part in the movie? Not really, I mean, sad to say, Qui-Gon Jinn wasn't the hugest part of the movie. I mean, it was and it wasn't,
Yeah.
But like it spawned the idea of what Qui-Gon can be, and of course that I do have to blame that on Liam Neeson, because he's such an amazing actor, and to just put him into a Zen-like character like Qui-Gon Jinn was just money, magic.
Yeah, it was.
So I do agree that there is a certain formula that they not necessarily need to, but they kind of should try to keep to, not making characters only recognizable to their Star Wars role, making them you're looking out basically for their career as well. Don't lock them in to Star Wars, because Star Wars is just one franchise. The movies, Hollywood is universal, basically. It's language, it's art, and we don't want to stop these actors from wanting to share their art with anybody.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it's something that I feel as Star Wars fans sometimes, and I mean, not even just Star Wars fans, but fans of anything that even Disney works on. I mean, I'm even thinking of in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'm thinking in Star Wars, even to a certain extent, some of our DC counterparts. There's a lot of playing areas where we can kind of take a step back and say, you know what, bring in the big names, but make them influencers, like you said, Jared. Make them people that we can really get behind.
Right.
Like, even with the DC universe, with all this Batman stuff, who's playing Batman? Who's going to do it? Who's going to do it again? We've seen that play out before, but at the same time, they start saying names, and I'm like, but are they really influencers?
Mm-hmm.
Ben Affleck coming into that role, I know a lot of people have their feelings about it, but he's a name. He's somebody you put in the mask, and it's like, oh, how cool. Michael Keaton was somebody that you put in the mask, and it was like, whoa, George Clooney. As much as people, and I have my feelings about those Batman films.
Yeah, I could tell you for sure that when I wasn't old enough to understand Michael Keaton and Batman, but I remember watching a documentary about that, and nobody saw Michael Keaton as Batman.
Yeah.
Just like nobody saw Heath Ledger as the Joker in the Dark Knight series.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was going to say this is going to be a failure, because Michael Keaton was a comedy actor.
That's right.
He was in the movie Dream Team as a hilarious, guy in a mental institution.
That's right.
It was amazing, but the way that Tim Burton just went on about his eyes and the way that he acts, it kind of made me realize that, you really have to trust the directors here, and that's why I think in J.J. Abrams, we're definitely going to trust, because J.J. is going to, take the helm and steer us into the sunset here. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and he was able to bring in people like Matt Smith from Doctor Who and obviously from The Crown too. I mean, that thing won so many awards, and now he's a recognizable face in that too. So
Hmm.
he's finding ways of bringing in these people to close out Star Wars Episode 9. And all right, Jared, I do have to do this on Make the Jump. I usually do it with my counterpart Sean Michaud, but I got to do it on here because it's something that's been I've kind of had in my head for a while now. And we talked about it at Tokens Tap Room. We talked about it at Stairway to Heaven Comics last weekend. All right, do you know how to play the game over under?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, good. I'm glad you do. So I'm gonna set the percentage at 46% over under that J.J. Abrams is going to cast one more big name to play a counterpart to Kylo Ren.
Over.
Where would you set your percentage at?
I'm going to pick the high 70s, 78.
Wow, that's much higher than I thought. Why do you say that?
Because it's still early, there's still surprises to be had, and JJ is just JJ and Disney. They're the hugest secret keepers I've ever seen in Hollywood.
Yes.
And both of them like to leave a lot of ammunition hidden from us. So I definitely believe that they have some surprises in store for us, especially somebody who's going to influence Kylo Ren, to either, jump ship, and become a Jedi, or point him in a completely horrible direction. Whichever way that the writers, want him to go, is going to be amazing. And I think that getting a huge name in there is going to be awesome. I can't even think of who I could even think of right now. Would they like, I don't know, would they go with an older, actor, somewhere of Chris Lee esque, very
Yeah.
very distinguished, very very weathered, somebody who's been around for a really long time, or would they get somebody very somewhat new-ish, like Christian Bale-ish, someone who puts their all into their work, and someone like that can be an influencer. I'm not saying Christian Bale would be good in Star Wars. I love him.
Right.
I love Christian Bale movies. I
Yeah.
love everything that he does, from The Machinist to American Psycho, but he's definitely not Star Wars material, definitely,
No.
but did he nail it as Batman? Yeah. I will watch The Dark Knight, on loop all day.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but like, that's just, that was just an example, but someone within that range, would be amazing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm up in the 80 percentile range. It's definitely over. And I'm even going to name drop somebody.
Here we go.
Sir Ian McKellen.
All right. I like where
Sir,
you're going with there. That.
Sir Ian McKellen is going to essentially play, and it's somebody that we've already been exposed to in the Star Wars universe
Uh-huh.
through a little show called Star Wars Rebels, and
Uh-huh.
somebody who technically did not leave and has taken on very different forms in his existence.
Mm.
And I am speaking of the Bendu.
All right.
And I think Ian McKellen, with his voice, and suddenly Ray and Ren are faced with Sir Ian McKellen as the Bendu, and this whole light side, dark side. What are you? What there's the sister and there's the brother. Ray is very much the sister, and Kylo Ren is the brother. Where is that? And the Bendu is in the middle, like he says in Rebels. I am the one in the middle.
Uh-huh. The
And
father figure, yeah.
the father figure, exactly.
Yes.
And
I
that
definitely like where you're going with that.
that symbolism. I don't care if it's even towards the end of the film. And I would just absolutely love for JJ to tap into the Star Wars fandom, that would be a deep cut for us hardcore fans. But even for the crowd, just for the average moviegoer to see Sir Ian McKellen and his voice, it's like, whoa, what's the story with this guy? Like,
Yeah.
it's like what we got with Gandalf in many ways, Gandalf the Grey. It was like, what's this guy all about? And then people went back and read the Tolkien novels and were like, whoa, wow, there's so much more to that character.
Oh yeah.
And I would absolutely name dropping them right there, JJ, please, if you're listening, get Sir Ian McKellen to play the Bendu.
Please. Oh my God. That would be so amazing because he does transcend so many different fandoms. He transcends just about as many fandoms as Harrison Ford. And so that's amazing. So I would be 100% behind that. That'd be awesome. I was, someone who just popped up in my head when I was just talking about someone who could be younger and who's kind of a bigger name and of the same caliber as Ian McKellen. His younger half, Mr. Michael Fassbender would be.
Yes.
He would be a good Star Wars character.
He would be.
So, but to go in the way of a father figure, the one in the middle, I think Sir Ian McKellen, there would be no substitute for that. That would be amazing.
Yeah. And there would be no complaints. That's what I love about that. Is that the Star Wars fandom loves to find these little things about characters and be like, oh, why is he in there?
You would hear silence. Silence on Twitter.
It would be. That scene, if he shows up, would be, people wouldn't know what to do.
Uh-huh. It would be the equivalent to when Yoda tried to stop Luke Skywalker from burning the tree.
Yes.
That was just, it was surprising. It was if you follow social media, it wasn't too surprising, but
right.
But to me, I was jumping up and down in my chair. My legs were moving. I was, hitting my wife on her leg. I'm like, oh, so that would, yeah. Yes.
I love that answer. Yep. Loving it. Yep. All right. So, Jerad, I do have to ask you before I wrap up this episode. People saw on social media you went to the latest San Francisco Giants game, and you checked out. What was it? Was it Star Wars night at the ballpark?
Oh yeah, it was Star Wars night at the ballpark, and we were having a blast because
selfies everywhere.
Oh yeah, definitely. And God bless the Golden Gate Garrison 501st. Shout out to those guys because those guys are every single one of them that I run into or I meet. They're always incredibly fun, hilarious, and they're just incredibly friendly. I love them. And so I ran into quite a few of them, a couple cosplayers. We got to talk and we started sharing each other's social medias and everything. So that was really fun, and it was just good old Star Wars fun. Just a bunch of fans, hanging out, spending a large amount of money on VIP tickets, but was it worth it? I would definitely do it again because that was incredibly fun. Because I was there I did the same package, where we would go into this VIP area and we'd have, this buffet and all these super fans, basically. I did the same package for Barry Bonds' retirement ceremony.
Oh, wow.
You can only imagine, there's so many diehard, San Francisco fans. I find myself in the middle of the whole controversy. I really don't care that much. I grew up in Oakland. When that was happening, I was more of an Oakland A's fan, but now I have, branch out because my wife is a diehard San Francisco fan. So, we go to 100% Giants games. But I digress. The crowd at the Barry Bonds retirement game was extremely little compared to this gigantic Star Wars fans are aplenty in San Francisco, and it is clear just by seeing this small group of 40,000 fans that it is massive, and there's so many people here that love Star Wars and have the same thoughts and love for Star Wars that they want to go out and they want to represent Star Wars, and that right there is just amazing. And so it was just so fun, so cool. to enjoy that day. It was amazing. I loved it.
I mean, nothing's better than going to the ballpark for a little Major League Baseball and seeing some stormtroopers walking around. Did you run into any Death Troopers while you were there?
No Death Troopers, but there was a Republic Commando that I got to talking to, and he invited me out to drinks, and we're going to go over some 501st costuming sometime soon. So that's going to be awesome.
Oh shoot, that is epic.
Yes.
Drinks with a Rebel Commando. Uh-oh. I don't know how that could go.
Right.
I won't say much more than that. That's a whole other story for another time when Mr. Mafex Mando makes his way back on to make the jump here. All right, folks, we've come to that time of the show. Anything that we do here on the BrickCityBlockade.com podcast network, it's a little thing we like to call
plug time.
Hey, plug time here from Make the Jump. Jerad Chilson, Mr. Mafex Mando. Where can they find you across social media?
The good people can follow your neighborhood Mafex Mando on Instagram at Mafex Mando BCB, or Twitter Mafex Mando BCB, or on Facebook at Jerad Chilson. Where can the good people find you, Mr. Vote?
They can follow me over on Twitter at Mr. Vote Tweets. Please make sure to check out all my tomfoolery in the galaxy far, far away over on Instagram at The Official Vote. Brick City Blockade can be found at www.brickcityblockade.com. That's where you can support us on Patreon. Make that donation every month. You get a cool little Brick City Blockade package, exclusive polls, and a way to get onto the show. Head on over to TeePublic, pick up a Mafex Mando t-shirt, and also make sure to support the podcast network by picking up one of our many designs over there. At the same time, make sure to support Starlight Children's Foundation through our A Galaxy of Hope program that we are running through with them, helping out kids in hospitals all across the United States and around the world, giving them a little something to smile about when the times are a little bit tough. So make sure to support us in that way possible and support Starlight Children's Foundation and our upcoming event here in Portsmouth on September 29th. Jerad, I'm telling you right now, I don't know if the good folks know this, but I'm planning a West Coast trip in December.
Uh-oh.
And, yeah, I might be heading out your way soon.
Oh, all right.
Yes, so there'll be
Rancho Obi-Wan. I'm feeling.
Oh, all right. We'll be talking.
All right.
We'll be talking with the good folks in the Star Wars universe very, very soon. Jerad, thanks so much for coming on to make the jump, my man. We'll be talking soon.
Thank you.
All right, guys. And as we always say here at the podcast network, may the force be with you.
Always.